All right, it's rolling.
Well, hello, and welcome to the NatterCast, special Netflix cast for Atypical Season 2. I am Jason Shankle of Shankle Studios, and I am here with the graduating class of Newton High School. I have with me, as always, Sion.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing? And our Atypical expert, Guillermo Gomez, who took us so brilliantly through the first season a couple of episodes back. And now we have the second season that we're going to do the same material on. So,
yeah, we're going to delve into the good, the bad, and the atypical.
The good, the bad, and the atypical. But before we get started, this is the NatterCast. I'm Jason Shankle of Shankle Studios. I am your host for the evening. And you can reach us online at www.nattercast.com, and you can find us all over Facebook. That's where we hang out with all our friends. If you search for NatterCast, you'll find a page in a group. Come on in and join the group and like the page. And we also have a number of other groups that start with the phrase, I can't stop watching. And the one we're talking about tonight is I can't stop watching Netflix. This is our monthly, or every 6 weeks, or every 8 weeks, whatever, Netflix cast. And so we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of other shows that we've been watching, and then we're going to dive into Atypical. So that's who we are. And I also want to again implore you, if you like the NatterCast and you've been listening to us for a while, when we post our episodes, please retweet us, repost us, spread us around Facebook, and get some more listeners. We miss all of our Game of Thrones listeners, but we know that you guys who are listeners now are the loyalists, and you must really love us. So please tell your friends and your neighbors. The more of you who listen, the better the show gets, because some of our best contributors have been listeners.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about Netflix. Before we get into Atypical, there's one or two other shows that I've been looking at. Sion, you just watched Wanderlust.
I just started that last night, yeah.
Yeah, with Toni Collette.
Yep.
It sounds really interesting.
It's,
I like her.
And she looks like she's had some work done, and she's a lot thinner.
Okay.
And because they show her body a lot. Mm-hmm. So basically, it's sort of sitcom-y with a little drama. Mm-hmm. So it's a little combination, and it's episodic, and it's BBC, Netflix original.
Like Peaky Blinders.
Yeah. And it's nothing like Peaky Blinders, but it's a story about sex.
Okay.
And all kinds of variations, and there's some really good sex scenes that are very realistic that include rejection and lust and weirdness and just all kinds of stuff, just how people are struggling with getting their sexual needs met. And it's a family, and then some neighbors and some coworkers are basically involved. Cool. The characters. I don't want to say too much more because it gives away some stuff. But I highly recommend it.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
So it's like a family psychodrama.
It makes you think and feel about your own communication around sex, your own problems with it, your own successes. It's rich, and it just shows how to be in a successful sexual relationship, how much trust and communication and vulnerability you need to have.
Yeah.
But there's also some weird stuff. So.
And that's an interesting theme for Elsa and
yes.
What's her husband's name?
Doug.
Elsa and Doug for this season too.
Yeah. No, it definitely. Yeah, there's a little flavor of what's going on there is going on, and then they're fixing it in an interesting way.
Very good.
But you start to see, like, their teenage son has issues. Mm-hmm. One of their teenage daughters just got rejected by a boy. The other one just got rejected by her lesbian lover in Amsterdam or something.
Wow.
And just watching everybody grapple with this, the coworker is so hot. There's some great water aerobic scenes. But it really, the only person that's commercially beautiful in it is Toni.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Everyone else is very average looking. And I liked that a lot. And there's some different races. I really liked that a lot, that nobody was movie star looking.
Well, maybe we'll go deep on it. The other one that we were planning to maybe do for today, but I just there's only so much note taking I can do in the course of a week, is Maniac.
Yes, that one we're going to have to. That's a little deeper.
That's a lot deeper. I'm about halfway through it now. This is one of those. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm just binging it." This is an anti-binge for me.
Yeah.
I cannot binge this show. I have to watch an episode,
rewatch it,
and stop.
Wow.
It's dealing with mental illness in a really, really wonderful, fantastic way. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, just for background, it's about,
And the acting is off the charts.
right. It's about two people, one who has addiction and one who has schizophrenia, who are dealing with who are in a trial for a combination drug virtual reality therapy that's supposed to stabilize your anxieties and things. So they keep finding themselves in these different scenarios, like high fantasy scenarios. So I would compare it a little bit to Legion. Except for it's not supernatural. It's scientific, but it's like Legion.
Yeah, it definitely has a Legion flavor to it.
And it kind of feels in production a little bit like Legion.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonah Hill doing what continues to surprise.
Yeah, his acting he's knocking this one out. This is his best.
Emma Stone doing really
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Very appealing, really liked it. And we watched the one last night where he is a gangsta. And she is an elf in a Tolkien world, And so, like, you get to the end of that, and you're like, okay, I don't know if I want to see an astronaut and an anthropomorphic animal just yet. I'll move on or whatever. So we'll probably go deep on Maniac, later.
It's chewy.
It's chewy.
It's a visual treat too.
Yeah.
Okay.
High production value.
Yeah.
The other one I wanted to recommend for our listeners is Norseman.
Oh yeah, this is if you just need some totally light, snarky but not mean fun.
If you like The Office and Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
Or Vikings.
Yeah.
More Vikings than Game of Thrones.
Vikings and The Office.
Yeah.
If you like that kind of humor, but set in
the
Celtic
Viking
Norse
Viking times. Yeah. It's pretty.
It's like a different flavor of Monty Python.
Yeah, and they all have Swedish accents.
Right.
Really exaggerated. It's like Fargo. It's
just crazy.
Yeah.
But it's lighthearted. Yeah.
So those are our recommendations. And they're dropping the new Narcos. So you follow up on Narcos. Okay, but we're here to talk about Atypical.
Right.
So Guillermo, why don't you tell us a little bit about Atypical?
Well, the last time we saw the Gardner family, things were a little up in the air. I mean, Casey was going to get into Clayton University, though she had mixed feelings about it. And Doug now learns that Elsa's been having an affair with the bartender. And so now we go into season 2, which begins with a flashback of a meltdown that Sam has at a friend's birthday party in 2004 when he's just like 4 years old or something. And then we see his parents talking about, what they're going to do with him. And Sam, according to Sam, now that there is now a hole in Antarctica that's the size of Maine, and we find out that that's because that's where Paige is right now.
She's in Antarctica?
No, Maine.
Okay.
He's playing with the metaphor in a really kind of brilliant way.
Yeah, exactly. And so, meanwhile, they're looking for a new therapist for him because Julia's out of the picture because of the obvious blow-up last season.
Right. Things got... Yeah. She melted her life down over a strawberry on the floor.
Yes.
Yes.
And they're trying out different therapists for him. And, he comes up with all these petty reasons that he doesn't like any of them. Like, for one, he doesn't like their eyebrows. And another one, it's like, keeps calling him pal, I guess. And I've had experiences where it seemed like I was, that it's really, really hard for me to find a quality therapist that suits my needs.
It's hard when you're not on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Say.
For me, it's like I don't want to overstep that. I know it's hard for you, but I totally get it when you say, because you have specific needs.
Yeah.
And for instance, for me, it was over sex work. I could not find anybody that was cool with it.
Oh.
I have somebody now who's cool with it.
Okay.
But I could go for years, and people, they would lie sometimes. I would go, pay some money, then they'd be like, well, you have to leave the sex industry. That's why you have all these problems. And I'm like,
They would pathologize your
yeah.
Yes.
Or, come, I'm $200 an hour, teach me about sex work.
Oh.
I'm not paying to teach you. I'm looking for someone who already gets it.
Yes.
And I've gone through long periods of time with not being able to do therapy because that struggle. I totally hear you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And therapists, you need to audition them, and they all want so much money.
Yeah. And there was one point where I had this dating coach, which I went up to Emeryville to see.
Oh, I remember you telling me about
Yes.
that. Yeah.
And I felt like I was getting a lot of good insight from her. And I also would take the Emery go round and pass Pixar.
Yeah, I used to take that to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my parents were paying for that until, I got to a point where I felt like I needed to focus on other priorities. And to this day, I think I'm glad that I had that kind of training because, I learned how to just like be in the moment and how to ask heart-opening questions and other valuable things, which I think
it's paid off because you're popular.
Oh.
Especially in our film group.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, and you go out to different film events and stuff.
Yeah,
You're pretty popular in the Bay Area, dude.
On the show, though, I'm not feeling, especially last season, but even this season, I'm not feeling like Sam is getting a lot of benefit from therapy yet.
Oh, right.
We haven't really seen.
I don't even know why that character is there.
Oh.
I remember I just don't like that character.
Yeah, what's her name again? His original therapist is
Julie or something?
Julia, yeah.
Julia.
She's just an annoying character. And I thought, and so I'm asking myself, and she's inappropriate. I mean, she doesn't have any boundaries. And why do we need to know about her life? There's no reason. It doesn't help the story at all. I just think she's a character we don't need. And I kept asking myself, and I think I told this to you.
Yeah, you asked me
I'm
as
like,
well.
why is she even there? And I think it's because they want a hot feminine chick.
Could be, yeah. I think that's part of it.
To just so that more men will watch the show. That's the only thing I could come up with.
Well, they sexualized her a little more in the previous season.
Yeah, they did a lot of cleavage shots and stuff, and
I think it's something because I noticed the same thing. It's not just that she's hot though; that she's very artificial.
Yes.
And very intentional.
Very
and
shallow.
Basic. And it's part it's part of a broader theme that I was noticing, which is that there are pieces of the expressionism of this show. They also sexualize Jennifer Jason Leigh. Mm-hmm. They have some scenes where Casey will be in this almost Pink Floyd or AC/DC level prep school outfit. It'll look costumed more than just clothing.
Yeah.
Or Saheed feels very much like a Judd Apatow character in a Judd Apatow movie.
Yeah.
Not a real person. And so I think that throughout this series, they're making little choices to exaggerate things and make things seem a little bit off. And I would compare it to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, where he messed up all of the floors of the hotel, so you're subconsciously confused. Okay. I think they're kind of doing that. You're feeling subconsciously yourself a little bit spectrumed.
You have made the point. Oh, I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, okay.
That when we were talking about this in the last couple of days about how everyone is awkward in it.
Right. Everyone's awkward.
Yeah.
In a different way. And
everyone has their own awkwardness. Yeah. Social awkwardness, sexual awkwardness.
Right.
And Sam is definitely not alone, even though he's our central character.
Yes.
Yes.
You have avoidant characters and overly engaging characters, and then you'll have overly sexualized characters. And
And you've got an OCD going on, and you've got denial of sexuality, all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
So, anyway.
Everybody's kind of got their little thing.
Let's return to the recap. But yes, I think that there's definitely a weirdness with Julia. I think that there is some baby doll motive, but it's also let's just make things weird.
Yeah, I mean she doesn't appear in every episode this season.
Right.
Thank God.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why they had to boost Jennifer Jason Leigh's sexual appeal.
Yeah, especially when she's leaning against the counter.
Well, man, she's always like a cat. She's like, will lean over and put her hands out. And she's always touching.
She's trying to appease Doug, I think.
Yeah, but she's also really trying to be her daughter.
Be her daughter.
She's always, it's not like she's flirting. She's like playing, a classmate. Right. Oh, let's, start being cat-like. It's just...
Well, let's go on. There's one where she gets a little creepy with Sam, but it feels like that whole scene is highly exaggerated. Anyway, we'll go on.
Anyway, so speaking of Elsa, Sam learns that she cheated and totally shuts down on her. Like, she tries to bond with him, but he's, totally not interested.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, she puts Casey into Clayton without Casey's approval. So Casey, of course, hates her mom as usual. And she remembers her dad leaving, quote unquote, for Grandpa's. And even though she pretty much knows why he's leaving, but anyway, she makes out with Evan, so they're still together at this point.
They always have these foiled make-out things because mom has no boundaries.
I really like Casey and Evan as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I haven't liked a teen couple in anything since I was a teen, probably.
Okay.
And I like them.
Yeah, and like Sam interrupts them, like, "Did you move my toothbrush?" Yeah, and so
the constant ball-busting, teasing, tormenting each other between Kelsey and Sam is hysterical.
Yeah, yeah.
It feels very loving because they also turn around and try to protect each other.
Indeed.
On a dime. There's
Right.
no negotiating. I'm there for you.
Yeah.
No matter if you move my toothbrush or not.
Well, that's part of sibling bullying is you're also it's quasi-protective sometimes. It's like I'm trying to push you so that you can defend yourself a bit.
Well, the physical bullying is kind of elevated here because, Sam gets so pissed about the toothbrush and everything else that he just splashes Casey with some juice, and that's where the episode gets its name, Juiced.
Yes.
And so...
Yeah, I actually gasped when I saw that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I felt he was so angry.
Yeah.
And what about when she physically attacks him?
That was pretty bad.
Yeah. I think the first time we were watching through this, I was like, I think this family needs therapy. And I was like, I think they're probably fine. Juice in the face, physical attack. It's like, oh, yeah, you're right. I agree. Good point. Yeah.
Yes, well, they later make up, and Sam says, "I can take care of you too."
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which I think is pretty brave on his part.
And we learn near the end of the season that he does.
Right.
Yeah, he's able to help her with biology.
That was so great the way he said that too.
Yeah.
Just like, got this. Oh, it just like it was
the Krebs cycle.
It was,
like, are you kidding? The Krebs cycle. I love the Krebs cycle.
I know. It's like that's so great.
That was my favorite part of biology too, though. Was the Krebs cycle.
Okay.
Krebs cycle and cell division are the two fun ones to learn as a kid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we have more of the animal comparisons throughout each episode.
Yes, which are great.
We're going deeper on Penguin this year.
Yes.
Yeah, Penguin was more of a motif last year. Now it's a huge theme.
Yes, especially with the penguin cam. He's watching the egg and
he donated.
watching it hatch.
Yeah.
I think it would have been funny if they just did a Silicon Valley crossover.
Totally.
And like he's switching through cam channels, and he finds this guy trapped at the bottom of a condor.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Guillermo, did you see that episode in Silicon Valley?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I've seen all of it.
Oh my God.
Because like Sam and Guilfoyle would be a good roommate.
Oh my God.
I suppose.
At least it would be funny for us to watch.
That'd be very funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, meanwhile, Elsa is still looking for the right therapist for Sam, and so she asks her friend for Dr. Bram. Ooh, a recommendation for Dr. Bram, who's apparently the best. Meanwhile, with Casey, she decides to be more parent and less friend. An extreme opposite of the last season, I think.
Also, one of the things with Elsa, and a few of the other characters too, but Elsa that I've really liked here is they set up these kind of like somewhat standard cliched, mother-daughter fight, the high school breakup, whatever, or Mean Girls at prep school.
Yeah.
And they always reverse it a little bit. She becomes friends with the mean girl. Elsa figures out and articulates the things she needs to do. She says, I need to be stopping a friend to my daughter, and I need to stop. Like later on, she says, I'm the one who wanted a big party. She didn't.
Yeah.
So Elsa really sees her problems in a way that oftentimes these characters will be written to not.
So Elsa's a little more self-aware now.
Right. I like that.
Elsa's really savvy.
She's very savvy, but she's also you can be savvy and be delusional about yourself. You know? Yeah.
Indeed.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think Doug especially sees that.
Yeah.
Because, he leaves again after the fallout involving Nick the bartender.
Right.
And he also gets so mad that he punches a hole in the wall, which is covered by a wooden Merry Christmas sign, which stays there for most of the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And by the end of episode 1, he comes back home only to kick out Elsa.
Yeah.
Because he wants to be the main parent now, because he doesn't think she's stable enough. And so Elsa stays at her friend's house and also has to take care of a friend's kitten.
That made Elsa much more relatable.
Oh, really?
That she cares about a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead
Well,
of
in a
trying to, she should be having cats instead of smothering her children.
Yeah, I'd say cat lady would have been a better job.
Or
for her.
dog
Yeah.
lady.
We have to remember,
Yeah.
this is Daisy Domergue dating Dick Ritchie from True Romance.
Oh, my
So these are two
God.
Tarantino characters.
Oh my God, Jason! I hadn't made that connection. That is
Yes.
so good.
And this is some peak Rappaport. We both commented
yes.
on that. We don't.
I think this is his best work.
we don't usually see him doing great work, and
Yeah.
I think he's really delivering here.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And, on that note, I think we should move on to episode 202 and find out what happens to
Find
the
out what
cat.
happens next. Find out what happens to the cat. Yeah. It gets orange juice spilled on it.
Ew.
Anyway, so Sam watches the penguin cam with his dad, and Paige is back from Maine, and now she wants to keep it casual between her and Sam. And Sam sort of drifts away while she talks. And Zahid tells Sam that he's now in a gray area, which is the best thing to be in because there's less rules.
That's me. I love
So he's looking for the loophole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam still wants rules. Paige gives him some, and so he follows those rules so much to a T. He even enforces the rules when she's feeling vulnerable. And that's a real facepalm moment for me. I'm like, dude, don't you see what she's going through? And so
Right.
she breaks up with him again.
So I find it interesting with Sam and Paige. Another teen couple, I think it was okay, but they're both very rigid, right? Paige is not; she doesn't have Asperger's,
No.
but she's very rule oriented and
Yes.
structured, and needs a laminator for her notes. And,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering if that's part of the attraction she has to Sam.
Oh.
Is the literalness and the explicitness of rules and things like that seems to be something that she
Yeah. It's possible.
Yeah, but she's gotten trapped up in it here because you wanted him to be empathetic in a way and not apply the rules, like you said, directly when she's in this more
Yes.
vulnerable state. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Rules are guidelines. Social rules are guidelines. Yeah. Okay.
Meanwhile, Elsa, her kids continue to ignore her, because Casey says, you don't live here anymore. And, even when Elsa tries making lasagna for them, she even dolls herself up for Doug.
She's wearing more red tops this season.
Oh,
I noticed
yes,
that, yeah.
of course. Red flag.
She's doing emotional neediness really well. Mm-hmm. It's very nuanced.
Yeah.
It's not desperate, but it's also not settled.
Yeah, exactly. And Casey, meanwhile, has her first day at Clayton with little to no help from her peers. She realizes that classes are super hard, and her peers patronize her. I think it's really interesting that the ringtone for her mom is the Jaws theme, And on the phone, she labels her mom as She Beast.
The She Beast. That's
Yeah.
so good. So this is another element here. So we're being presented with prep school, which is at the other far extreme of spectrum worldview. Right? Is on the other side, hyper socialized, predatory socialization.
Yes.
Is what we are being shown initially, right? With the prep school, you kind of expect some American Psycho, Bret Easton Ellis stuff, Mean Girl stuff, and it's Heathers, right? And I appreciate that the show went there just a little bit and then moves the other way. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she even has to like earn convenience points in order to get pizza. You know, there's a long list of unknowns that she's made, of course. And then she meets Nate, who's a handsome prep school kid.
Right.
Has a girlfriend, but he helps her anyway. And that leaves you wondering what's going to happen in the next one.
What happens in the next one, yes.
But anyway, Doug, meanwhile, sets some ground rules with Elsa. Sort of a parallel to how Sam wants Paige to set some rules with him.
Right.
Yeah, with those two parallels in mind, I think...
Isn't this where Doug says, you know, I'm having you here because it's good for the kids?
Yeah.
Right, and she wants to reconnect their relationship, and he's making it kind of clear that he's not available for her.
Yeah, and he tells her that in a diner, I believe.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because she dolls herself up so that she can meet him at a diner. And it doesn't go quite as she thought it would.
Right. I find this an interesting reversal because last season we had Doug being the apologetic and more emotionally needy one who wanted to just be forgiven for what he did, you know, years before.
Yeah.
And now she wants to be forgiven.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and it feels like just either call it even or don't at a certain point, right? Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. So on to episode 203. Sam begins narrating about migration because he's about to migrate from high school to college.
Right.
And he has a meeting with his parents and counselor Miss Whitaker, who's played by SNL alumni Casey Wilson.
I really like her.
Yeah, she's good. They talk about his future, which Whitaker calls the abyss. Yeah.
Right. It's not the abyss.
Yes.
It's the mountaintop.
Yeah, there's also an urge to run or elopement, which is brought up. You know, there's even some cool animation of this lion story.
Oh, right, the lion. Yeah. And we're starting to see more of Sam's cartoon artwork.
Yes, his drawing skills.
Yeah.
And anyway, the moral of the lion story seems to be don't leave.
Right.
So it's like Sam doesn't really want to leave Connecticut.
Don't leave if there's lions. There's not lions running around America, so I think it'll be all right. Yeah.
So he goes into this peer group.
Interesting peer group. I like the peer group. Yeah.
Yeah, they say we don't judge, but there's some girl in there who keeps insulting him just because she has to say what's on her mind. Anyway, they talk about dealing with change, and you know, Sam gets the idea to ask for something you need. So anyway, he decides on his own to go to college,
and he announces it to them. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I'll be able to take care of it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, sending your kids to college is again rough enough under normal circumstances when you have you don't have additional anxieties about their ability to function. Yeah. And Elsa didn't want Casey to go to college.
Yeah.
Right. Someone who's like the scholarship, and it's a total. There's a whole plan.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Elsa tries to reach out to Sam and, of course, gets shot down. And Doug, kind of digs into her, during the meeting with Whitaker. Oh yeah, the elopement is Sam gets a sensory overload in his class, and he escapes and he gets hit by a student driver, and then Doug goes to school when that happens.
She has to have hit him on purpose. I watched that accident several times. There's no way that even a student driver would accidentally hit you,
Yes.
at 5 miles an hour, with that much clearance to see.
Anyway, this mean girl in Sam's group happens to have a mom named Megan who meets Doug, and upon learning that Doug is an EMT, Megan says, hey, my daughter is so into ambulances and medical work.
That's right.
Yeah. And so they exchange numbers. Even though Doug doesn't seem to like talking about feelings.
I thought she was beautiful. She looked like Pam Grier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. So Doug is an EMT, and Elsa is a stay-at-home mom. EMTs are lucky if they make $20 an hour.
Right.
He can't afford a house.
Well, maybe he's been in it for long enough that he's some kind of supervisor, but whatever.
No, he doesn't look like it. He's got a simple uniform. Yeah, that's something I don't get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Unless they had money from elsewhere or whatever. Yeah, you're right. Especially that house. This is like one of these giant sitcom houses.
Yes.
Right. That just appears. It's like the Winchester Mystery House.
He'd be lucky if he can afford a one-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little, but it's also like the Connors as well. Or the old Roseanne show. It's like this is probably a little bit more.
No, that was actually that was accurate.
Because she worked.
Even when she didn't work, it was accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I agree that this is like, where are you living?
Yeah.
Especially, which state is this supposed to be? I think it's somewhere in the Midwest. But if this is California, there's no chance, or New York or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, prep school's more likely on the coast.
Right. Oh, yeah. That seemed like an East Coast prep school. So, yeah, there's some. Oh, no, because you're in Connecticut and Maine and all that
Yes,
stuff. So they're somewhere on the
exactly.
East Coast, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Doug also defies Elsa by taking Sam to the group instead of taking him to Dr. Brab's office where Elsa continues to wait. So, we've got a real tug-of-war going on here.
Yep. As the battle over Sam.
Yes.
And Casey.
Yes. Yeah. Meanwhile, she and Evan go on a run, and they ask each other, did we rush? And so, things are kind of at a crossroads for them. And meanwhile, at Clayton, this girl named Izzy, they're running on a track. They're running on the track, and Izzy feigns injury and blames Casey for it. Like, you tripped me.
Right.
Even though she clearly didn't. So they get into detention in this one room together where they, learn more about each other. Like, Izzy opens up to Casey about the pressure that comes with being perfect.
Right.
And they bond and, drink vodka.
And Izzy's also another, just highly constructed looking person. Like, she really takes care of her skin and her makeup, and she's really coordinated in the dresses, and she's really, just together. Her hair is beautifully done, and everything else. I think it's a bit of a Julia type of expressionism,
in a way.
She's a different kind of character, but I think they're doing something with the way women look. Because it's not across the whole board. A lot of times you'll see natural-looking women and everything like that in the show, and every now and again they'll take these women and just make them extreme in their presentation.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Evan worries when Casey gets drunk, but then she passes out and wakes up at Elsa's friend's house.
Oh, they don't just get drunk. They steal booze from the teacher.
Yes.
That's the best scam ever.
Indeed.
Stealing booze from the teacher, because where did you get it? I got it from your desk. You want to file a report on me? I'll file a report on you.
Yeah. Well, who's to say that one of the students didn't supply the teacher?
Oh, they're also lightweights. I mean, these are high school kids. They do half a pint together, and they're both wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Casey passes out and wakes up at Elsa's friend's house, and this a friend of Elsa's, is the mom of this of that one-note kid whose name I still can't remember. That one-note kid who is also on the spectrum. He sees her in...
Is the one from the group?
I don't think so. No. But he had only a few appearances in season 1.
Okay.
But anyway, when he sees Casey, he's like, "Oh, great! Now there's two of you."
Right. Oh, that's
Because
right,
he hates Elsa.
Elsa, that's right.
He doesn't like it that Elsa's staying there.
Right. Now there's two. They're reproducing. Literally, you're reproducing right in front of me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, Sam asks if he and Paige can at least walk together since they broke up last episode. But I think that's sort of reasonable.
Right.
Yeah, because he asks for something he needs, and he needs to be near Paige.
Right. This is also where he meets that goth friend of his who's
Bailey Bennett.
Bailey Bennett. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, the one who got bullied in the first season.
Right.
Like somebody wrote on her locker.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And Casey attacked somebody because of that.
Right. She defended Bailey. That's right. And now Bailey's going after Sam.
All right, let's move on to 204. So, in 204, Sam starts writing an essay for college, which has way too much truth, more truth than should actually go in this kind of essay.
She said, you can't say that you can't write an essay about seeing a stripper's tits.
Yeah, exactly.
And he said, well, that's my top accomplishment of the year.
Yeah. I mean, autism is an accomplishment.
Yeah, autism's not an accomplishment. Seeing someone's tits is.
Yeah, and so
I didn't do anything to become autistic.
Right, exactly. And so then he asks Zahid how to lie, and he learns the pants on fire technique.
Oh yes, so this is a Judd Apatow moment.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and so he tries it on Paige and does it to a T, and it's only confusing her further. Eventually she gets so annoyed that, while doing something in woodshop, she accidentally severs the tip of her finger.
Oh, right.
Yes, the paper chopper.
I almost did that, was it a year and a half ago? And then I did one of my funny bandaging things that squished everything back, and it's fine, there's not even a scar. But hers, I think, just went away.
Just off. She just took it right off.
And of all people, because she's, vain and organized and doesn't like to make mistakes.
But she was agitated.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And she was really hating on that paper.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
take it all out on the paper.
All right.
Blaming the profiteroles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty.
So Zahid gets caught smoking a doobie. And
he's smoking the reefers.
Yep.
Yes.
And he ggets fired, of course. And Sam just then covers for him. He's like, "It's my pot."
It's my pot.
And his boss is like, "Oh, right, you must use pot for your autism, right?" I've never heard of that, but
I don't think that's a thing.
the guy accepts that as an excuse, and so
that reminds me of that Boondocks reference you sent me,
really?
where he's so one of the kids calls somebody a fag.
yeah, Riley,
and so they decide to give him a cover story.
Granddad tries to assure everybody that Riley is quote unquote special.
He's special. He's on some kind of spectrum disorder.
Yeah,
right. And then
Riley is offended by this at first, but then he realizes that he can use this as an excuse for
acting out and
just
slacking
skipping
off.
homework
right,
and stuff.
Exactly, yeah, because it's all part of my condition.
Yeah.
It's like Memento. I have this condition.
Yeah,
I do whatever
exactly.
I want. Yeah.
That according to TVTropes.com is disability as an excuse for jackassery.
Yes. Which is also seen in South Park.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, especially with Cartman.
Yeah, the Asperger's.
Timmy.
Yeah.
Well, Timmy's not exactly a jackass.
I have to say, I hope
No.
it's not too offensive, but the South Park joke, that's like, you can't name a social compliance disorder Asperger's. That's just cruel.
Yeah, exactly. And Cartman also pretends to have Tourette's syndrome in one
yeah.
episode.
Right, Tourette's,
And that goes too far when he actually starts blurting out secrets about himself.
Right. He's playing with fire.
He's one of the
Cartman.
craziest characters ever in animation.
Cartman is perfect. He's what's prepared us for our current situation.
Yeah. Yes.
We have a model of who
Cartman
we're
and
dealing with. President Cartman. All right.
Yes. Anyway,
okay.
so Zahid's theory is autistics are the normal ones. And it's like they see the truth while everybody else doesn't or something. And, that significantly improves Sam's essay.
Right, 'cause it's about seeing more focused on literal truth.
Yes.
Right, and the further you are away from that, the more you're picking up metaphors and nuances and things like that can't be actually weighed and shown and described in any highly systemic way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And now we move on to Casey, who tells Sam, you have to lie to get by. And Evan calls her and reminds her of the drunk selfies she took.
Oh, right, yes.
And promises that he won't distribute them.
Right. Sion's kind of on a death watch for Evan.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know, I just got this intuitive, like he's sick or something.
No, because he's wearing a hairpiece that if he was in
That's
a movie
true.
would be a squib underneath it that would for when
That's what it
Walton
is.
Goggins
'Cause he
blows his
definitely-
head off.
Yeah, he's definitely, he's totally wearing a wig, that's for sure.
He has the zombie exploding head
And so
squib
does
wig.
Zahid. He's wearing a really awful wig as well.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's about to explode though the same way.
No.
Yeah,
no.
his Evans really looks like that is you're a headshot on Walking Dead.
And he's always kind of like going, hee hee hee, just like tilting. He doesn't come across as like,
He's also very good-hearted, genuine, true, and kind,
Sweet.
and decent, and sweet, and helpful,
And a former child actor.
and so.
oh yeah?
Yeah, Evan shows her like an old karate commercial.
Yeah,
was
he
in.
did a karate commercial. But in the kind of entertainment that Sion and I enjoy, typically if you see a character like that, they're not going to make it out of the first act.
Right.
Okay.
So maybe that's what's setting off my
That could be
Yes.
doing it too.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Sam asks his mom, "Can you teach me how to lie? Because you're good at it." Yeah.
At least somebody's asking Elsa for some help.
For her expertise.
For her expertise, her area of expertise.
Yes, and so she advises Sam against it, of course.
Yeah.
And at the mom's group, she says she thinks maybe she should be more like Sam. Wow, big realization there.
In what way? More like Sam.
You know, Sam is like honest and stuff.
Honest and direct. Yeah. Elsa's not honest and direct. She's manipulative.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Doug is more honest and direct.
She's a cat.
Yeah.
yeah,
He's more of a dog. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. She had to give back that cat, by the way, that kitten.
Oh, speaking of, we didn't bring this up while recording. Something Jennifer Jason Leigh has had some facial work done
Yeah.
that is not working.
No, she needs to have it redone.
Because I was just like looking at her publicity still from like 3 years ago.
She's put in cheek implants.
Yeah.
And she's puffed up her lips. And she's also put in some Botox and fillers.
Yeah, and she used to look just like a normal
cutie pie.
a normal
Yeah.
50-year-old woman or something, but now this Catwoman look that she's got is it's a little extreme. Okay, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so she goes to TARP, which is the Autism Resource Place. And, and she offers to...
Oh, that's so
she
classic.
offers to cut hair for kids because she did that for the winter formal last season, and
Yeah, she's really into trying to do makeup and hair. Does she actually have a license? Does she have
don't know
that
if-
as a job?
Last season there was something about her having women over.
for the
Yeah.
that PTA party planning.
Yeah.
meeting.
She has a constructor that she has some skill.
Yeah.
We don't know if she has experience or used to do this or what, but
Right.
yeah. And evidently people agree.
yes. So Elsa then also reconciles with Julia, interestingly enough, and Julia, meanwhile, is on the phone during her ultrasound. Yeah. And now she thinks it's the pregnancy hormones that made her yell at Sam. And so this is like a realization for her in a way. But anyway, she runs into Elsa with...
She snaps while she's on the table there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, she runs into Elsa with her autistic brother, Jesse, who was only verbally introduced last season. Mm-hmm. For a while, she's been like refraining from communicating with anybody, but then she finally opens the ultrasound snapshot and finally tells her mom that she's pregnant and it's a boy.
Do we know who the father is? We don't know.
It's Miles.
It is Miles.
I believe.
Yeah, okay. Because later on, she's like, that's private or whatever, and there's a underlying.
Yeah, because, in the last episode, she went to couples therapy with him.
Right, right, yeah.
And Doug, of course, brings home the pizza again.
Right.
Ignoring all the dinner that Elsa's made.
Right.
And, he drops the milk because I think it might be a seizure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looks like he's about to pass out or something.
He does pass out at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, he even asks Elsa who made the first move, her or Nick.
Yeah, he's having an anxiety attack.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's probably what it is.
Yes, but then he goes outside and collapses, and it looks like it's a heart attack.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we move on to 205, where we find out that it was actually a panic attack.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I thought, geez, my panic attacks, or at least what I consider them, are a lot different. I mean, I don't faint. I don't collapse on the ground. All I feel like doing is just collapsing on the bed. I mean, I feel like they're a bit more controlled in a way.
They're not physiological, because I've had like low blood sugar, low blood pressure where I've nearly passed out.
Yes.
Right. And that's not emotional. That's just like overexertion, failure to eat, whatever. Yeah. But I mean, they're creating drama here.
Yeah.
Right. So if he just sits down and has a normal panic attack the way you do, what we're going to see is Michael Rappaport sitting in a chair trying to breathe.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe rocking or self-soothing a bit.
Yes, exactly.
And it's not going to come off TV wise as well as passing out in your driveway.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's also a flashback of the doctor telling the diagnosis of Sam, and there's more elements. And so Sam, confuses the his peer group with all this talk about penguins, and he sort of makes the connection about it as he always does. And then he decides that he needs a bank account. So
I love this.
Yeah. Well,
Because he does.
yeah,
Yeah.
he does. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you should have had one probably a little sooner, I would think.
Yeah, but this is a good time as well, too. I had one as a little girl.
Right.
But, and loved having it. And I
I have one that I've actually managed since I was 14.
Okay.
I had one before that was like,
Yeah. Because
pretend.
when they said he was going to have it, and people were like, no, Scout, I'm like, he's going to be great with it.
Yeah.
I didn't get why people were nervous about
And he has
it.
a job, right?
Well,
and she's been saving his money.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, she manages his money and doesn't like the idea of
Right.
of
Well, that's
having.
because she's a smothering mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, she prefers the Bank of Elsa.
Yes.
Yeah. She prefers Bank of Elsa.
Yeah.
She prefers Casey to stay in town. She prefers.
She
she's-
wants to hang out with Casey and go to high school events with Casey
Right.
as her girlfriend.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Casey, meanwhile, is concerned about Dad, but his dad assures like, someone says, still going to torture her.
Still, Doug is still going to torture Elsa?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, Casey is now BFFs with Izzy and Nate. And
Not the world's best people.
yes, and they talk about pizza, how great the pizza is where Casey lives.
This is one of the things I was saying I liked, though. They're not the world's best people, but they're also they're behaving normatively for their culture. Right? They're not exceptionally bullying. They're not. This isn't American Psycho.
Right.
Right. These are just prep school kids, and I've known enough prep school kids to know that this is the way it is.
Yeah.
Right. And it's very status oriented.
Yes, and Evan notices that because he offers to join them, and he points out to Casey, "You've really changed since you started going to Clayton."
Right. And that's one of the. I think they're handling prep school here pretty well, because that is, especially if you are middle class and wanting to send your kids up a bit in
Yeah.
prep school, you're going to find a completely different blue-blooded social environment
Yeah,
than
indeed.
you're used to, even if you live just a couple blocks away. Sometimes, and so I like the way that they're handling that, because it's part of this whole thing is about recognizing different social dynamics, right? From a point of view of having some disability in it. And
Yeah.
it's not just being on the spectrum. You can be perfectly typical. You can be neurotypical and find yourself a fish out of water and not quite understanding the rules of your new environment and everything. And I think the Casey, Evan, Izzy storyline, Nate storyline covers that. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sam asks many questions at the bank, like 20 or 30 questions.
I loved Sam at the bank.
Yes. And,
May I take as many lollipops as I want?
And then to give out to his friends. It was so awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. And Zahid, prefers cryptocurrency.
I know. Right. Like an idiot.
And he thinks he's talking about a couple $100, and Sam says it's like, what, 4,000 or 7,000?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, fuck, no, put that in the bank.
Yeah.
Don't listen to my bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. And Sam gets talked into donating $700 to a independently student-organized boozed party. Like this one guy.
That was nasty.
Lolo or something. Arlo.
Arlo.
Yeah.
It's Arlo.
Yeah. Arlo, talks him into donating $700 to this party, and it's like, hey, there's an incentive. Maybe we can watch that penguin egg hatching,
Right.
on like an HD TV or something. And and Sam's like, yeah, okay, that totally makes sense.
Right. No,
Yeah,
it doesn't
and so-
Arlo. Fuck you, Arlo.
Yes, of course. So Sam, like the honest guy he is, tells his mom about it, which leads to
I would have. This is
crashing.
I would totally have pulled an Elsa on this one. That's you don't get to. But,
Scam your kid out of $700 when that's 10% of the money he's got? No, that's no good.
No scamming out of any money or stuff. No.
Yes, exactly. And now
he's got to learn to smell
and now
scam.
Arlo's mad at him. Like, what are you doing? You weren't supposed to tell anybody. And
Right.
so Sam hides in the infirmary again, and like he's been doing for most of this season. He hides in the infirmary and encounters Bailey Bennett.
Bailey Bennett.
Yeah, and so the episode ends with all of them watching the egg hatching. Even Doug and Elsa, even after they had a positive moment with each other earlier, Doug even made chop suey for her, and now she thinks that things are going in the right direction, and especially since she realizes that she didn't make Doug a priority.
Right.
So she's been learning a lot more about herself now.
I'm giving Elsa a lot of credit for recognizing her flaws.
Yeah.
I mean, more so than most characters, like I said, in her position normally do, and it's refreshing to have somebody say, "Hey, maybe I should be a better parent. Maybe I should engage with my relationship and not be so needy. Maybe I should let my kids have some freedom."
Yeah.
But then she doesn't. The way you
Yes.
do. You recognize your flaws and you still pursue them.
Yeah, and now we're going to pursue episode 206.
Alrighty, let's take the 206.
So, Arlo's mom actually used to be Elsa's friend back when they were both pregnant.
Right.
That
little pregnancy scene was pretty funny.
Yeah, and their little bellies touching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those kind of foretell there's going to be some touching, and it's not going to be pretty.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Sam gets Paige a stylus, which I think is a pen. Mm-hmm. So that I think it's for her phone, right?
Yeah, it's a pen part of the phone.
It's got a little soft rubber thing on it. It's
Right.
on ink, so she can do stuff.
So she can sketch on a pad.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
And she's all happy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Zahid invites Sam for a sleepover, which is something that Sam I don't think has done. But Sam insists that he needs his turtle, Edison. And, Sam meets Izzy, who seems to know quite a few things about autism, which is interesting because that's something a little more that she and Casey might have in common.
Right.
All right?
Especially because Casey is so protective. Right, she was protective at Paige about Sam, right?
Yeah.
He was like, you don't know him, and you're going to abandon him and leave us with the mess, right?
Yes.
So if Izzy's got that sensitivity, that's something that's definitely going to connect her to Paige, to Casey.
To Casey, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Sam meets Zahid's parents, who make Sam's favorite meal, and Zahid insists that his parents are just his roommates. Yeah,
it's like train spotting.
yeah, exactly.
Are you her flatmates? Yeah, flatmates. We're her parents.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck me. Yeah.
And Zahid's parents tell Sam how much of a help you are to our son because he's got so many problems.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And they're really polite. South Asian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pakistani, maybe?
I think, or Indian or whatever.
Yeah.
And just. Yeah, they seem like they would be, because it's like, our child is such a little scam artist.
You're keeping him honest.
Keep him honest. Yeah.
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 At this sleepover at Zahid's house, Sam gets a sensory overload from all the noises around him, including the clock and some kind of mist machine. Yeah. So then he goes on a walk and gets stopped by a cop who mistakes him for a junkie.
Right.
And
on the ground.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Sam.
This is a big problem.
Oh, you
with
think?
People? No, it's in the news a lot. This is very relevant. The scene about how cops are not trained to identify people who are deaf, disabled, all these things.
Yes.
And they'll shoot them.
Oh, Right. Well,
a lot of deaf men have been shot.
Yeah, well, you haven't heard about my encounter with the police, I don't think.
Let's hear it.
Well, this was a long time ago, like in 2007, but it does have a happy ending because obviously I'm still here. I accidentally left my cell phone on the bus, and I realized this, so I immediately had to run home and get to my home phone and call my cell phone. And the bus driver still had it because somebody tried to walk off with it, and the bus driver caught him and said, "Hey, somebody left that there." And so the bus driver and I tried to meet at a certain corner, and this was when I had to run 1 or 2 miles between the bus station and and my house because I didn't have a bike back then. And I tried to insert a coin into the phone booth because I tried to call it again because I realized I had missed the bus because I wasn't running fast enough probably. But anyway, I went into this nearby restaurant and to tell them that the phone booth wouldn't return my coin, and they were of no help to me. So finally, I was just like, ugh. And then I went outside and saw some outdoor diners and, asked them if I could use their phone. And the waitress kept saying, "Get away from my customers, you're bothering them." When they clearly weren't bothered, I could tell that they weren't bothered. And I'm just trying to get some help. And she got so pissed that she called the police. And so I waited around for this cop to come over, and I calmly told him the situation, everything leading up to that moment. And he just said into his walkie-talkie, "Code 4, lost his cell phone." And, we talked for a little bit. He asked me if I had Asperger's, and I'm like, yeah. And
well, that's a good cop.
Yeah,
wow, he
he
that
asked,
far.
Yes, he asked me if I did drugs or alcohol, and I totally don't. Mm-hmm. And so then he let me use his cell phone to get back in touch with the bus driver, and I wound up getting it back, which was a big relief. And so anyway, that's my encounter. That's my...
It sounds relatively positive.
My diagnosis-related encounter with the police.
I think you learned your lesson about trying to use a phone booth.
Oh, yeah.
They're gone now anyways.
Yeah.
If you want to get ear syphilis, go ahead and use a public phone booth.
Yes. Anyway, this story with Sam also seems to have a happy ending because Sam and Zahid are at the police station, and Zahid opens up to Sam. He's like, "I originally wanted to be a nurse.
Right.
But then I had a mean biology teacher." And so Zahid starts looking at this nursing site to, find out what he's been missing out on.
Oh, a nurse that can hustle.
Yeah. A real hustling nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
Isn't this also where they get booked at 11:30 and then get let out at 5 after midnight or something? And so it's like, hey, it technically counts.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
and meanwhile, the reason that Sam wants to do this sleepover at Zahid's is because he wants to practice for this senior lock-in which Paige is going to be a part of, and she wants to. She forgives Sam again and wants him to participate, and especially since she's a sleepwalker, and she asks Sam to watch her, I think. And so, we're finally creating a need for Sam, a need on her part.
So, is this? I'm trying to remember orders of things. Has he made out with Izzy? Not Izzy, but Bailey.
I don't think so by this point.
Because later on, there's a whole I
think that happens in the next episode. Okay, but anyway, so that's why Sam has the sleepover, so he can be prepared for the senior lock-in. And meanwhile, he keeps leaving messages on Julia's phone over the weeks, and she starts to show concern. Oh, that's the next episode, of course. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, she calls Doug, and they agree that law enforcement could be better trained in handling people like Sam.
And Doug is an EMT, right?
Yeah.
So he's got some law enforcement training and some public management abilities. Mm-hmm. And now Doug gets to be useful.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes Doug happier.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh. Doug and Elsa, meanwhile, go to Holly's place. Holly is Arlo's mom.
Right.
They used to be friends. They went a long time without communicating each other. And Elsa reconnects with Holly, whereas Doug doesn't get along very well with Theo, Holly's Asian American husband.
Right.
And Theo makes a comment about Sam that really rubs Doug the wrong way. And so they eventually go home, and Elsa reveals that she stole one of their trophies.
Right, the stolen trophy.
Bitch.
Elsa's being non-compliant.
Yeah.
Elsa's going off the reservation.
Yeah. And meanwhile, she's treating Doug better. She sets up a special room for him, with a nightlight, which he insists he doesn't need. But by the end of the episode, he's finally using the nightlight.
So that's Elsa's saving grace is that she has empathy. Right. I mean, I think that's one of the things we're seeing. She's non-compliant and inconsiderate in a lot of ways, and selfish in a lot of ways. But the fundamental final trip for her is always that she ultimately is empathetic to Doug and Casey and Sam. She wants what's right for them or what's best for them. And again, with this, I think that this shows a bit of a funhouse. It exaggerates people's personality traits, and I like that they exaggerate both the good and the bad.
Yeah, speaking of a funhouse, Izzy visits Casey after like a bad incident with her boyfriend, and she sleeps over, and they make a pillow fort. Yeah, so they're really getting buddy with each other, and
like 17 or 18 is a little old to be doing pillow fort, but maybe you have to. If you have a new friend, you have to go through the old stuff, right? Exactly, yeah.
So then Nate comes over, and they all watch a movie. And while Izzy's asleep, Nate tries to force himself onto Casey, but she forces him out. That was really good on her part. I'm glad it didn't turn into something worse.
It's more about the strength of Casey's character and the relationship with Izzy than about dealing with a trauma or something like that.
Yes, but unfortunately that leads to what happens in 207 where, she reveals that Nate kissed her. She tells Izzy, like, hey, he tried to kiss me. And so then Nate says otherwise, and Izzy shuns Casey and starts writing slut and hoe on her shoes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, damn it.
And you're seeing something here which is a bit of nastiness and that's realistic, which is that Izzy knows that she believes Casey had not. Is it Nate?
Well, she says, I've known Nate longer than you.
But Nate is more important to her. More important to her life, known him longer, they're in a relationship.
Yeah.
These things are going to, so she's going to defend the lie. And that's something that happens in the real world. That's one of the most nastiest things.
Yes. Yeah. Meanwhile, Sam in the group reads what his strengths are. And so Miss Whitaker says that, the deadlines for applications have passed. So she has a plan. And And so then Zahid tells Sam that what his real strengths are. Mm-hmm. And Sam eventually decides to go to Bowdoin with Paige. And Paige, her motto is, don't cry, just fly.
Right.
So she sells baked goods to raise money for a water garden that she wants to leave behind at the school. Her legacy is important to her.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is the thing it builds up to. She doesn't get a water garden, but she gets a bench.
Yes, exactly. So she paints a bench instead of planting the water garden.
Yeah. Uh-huh. But it's a virtual water garden. It's a symbolic water garden. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, anyway, Sam hides from Miss Whitaker again and meets with Bailey Bennett again. And he draws a tattoo on her. I don't remember what it's of. Probably an animal. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Miss Whitaker finds him, and she's impressed by his art. Yeah, he's actually a good artist.
Right. Is it around this time? Is it here or later when she's like, there's a art program that is about illustrating scientific?
Yeah, well, that appears a little bit later.
Is that later? Okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Doug and Elsa, she tells Doug to handle Sam's stuff, and she's still trying not to swear. And she accidentally drops her phone into the hole in the wall that Doug punched.
I like how she's like just sort of vaguely in an artistically exploratory way trying to fix the hole in the wall.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll put some spackle, a couple of toothpicks in there maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. And in addition to all the other ongoing deeds, good deeds, she gets Casey some new shoes after the old ones have been written on, defaced. And Evan comes over and helps her fix the hole in the wall. Mm-hmm. So things are looking pretty rosy on those ends.
All right.
But anyway, we find out that Doug is actually friends with the police officer that nabbed Sam and sort of goes over to the station and chides him.
Right, right.
And so then he suggests to Elsa that we could have first responders training. So, that goes into the whole training theme as well, which is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, like I say, it gives Doug something to do besides get pizza in the story.
Yes, yes. But meanwhile, Paige seems to be jealous of Sam and Bailey because when she sees them together, she pulls the fire alarm. And so then Sam and Bailey are both doing community service, and it's at this point where Sam gets a kiss. Mm-hmm. So, it seems like an appropriate moment to move on to 208.
Yeah.
Because in 208, Sam finishes a portfolio to send to the Rhode Island School of Design. Now, the Rhode Island School of Design has such famous alumni as Seth MacFarlane, some of the people from Talking Heads, the late Charles Rocket.
Oh, wow. Really? Charles Rocket?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he blows off some steam getting hit by baseballs at batting cages.
Oh, right. No, that was Sahid's suggestion. He said, you know what I do to relax?
Yeah.
I allow myself to be bludgeoned by baseballs.
Yes, exactly. So Sam tells his group about his RISD research, but suddenly loses his portfolio and can't find it anywhere. It's a huge emergency. He can't find it at Tiktropolis, and Casey and Zahid team up to help him. And, he even blames them because he's so stressed about it that he can't be nice to anybody. And she points out that maybe he lost it on purpose. Maybe this is part of his self-destructive behavior. Mm-hmm. But then we later learn that Amber, the mean girl in Sam's group, she's the one who stole it, quote unquote, out of consideration for what Sam was saying.
Oh, cool. I missed that plot development. I must have been in the bathroom. Yes, because he was missing and then it was back, and I just figured Casey.
Yeah, well, the thing that happens is Megan and Amber come over to the place, and, they come to see both Sam and also Doug.
Right.
So then, at the interview for RISD, I think, the application interview, he runs away again. But then it's after that Miss Whittaker finds a better university for him, Denton. And so that's the one that you were saying.
Scientific.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's Denton. And Casey, meanwhile, learns that she's failing biology and tries to buckle down. And Sam eventually
Comes to the rescue.
Yes, he comes to the rescue and helps her with bio.
The Krebs cycle. Are you kidding? I love the Krebs cycle.
And this happens after the whole outburst after the portfolio incident.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, showing that they want to help each other. You know,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so that's a step in the right direction. Finally, Elsa confesses about what she did with Nick. She confesses that to Julia. And Julia gives both of them some resources for law enforcement. And then she calls Miles and finds out that he's in Africa on some sort of missionary mission. Way to write him out.
He's a trauma surgeon.
Yeah.
Right. So he's off doing. He's probably gonna get Ebola or kidnapped by child soldiers or something.
Yeah, or something like that. But way to write him out.
I kind of agree with Sion that like Julia doesn't feel like a big part of the show.
No.
In an important part
She's
of the
like
show.
this weird sidetrack thing.
Yeah. So I wouldn't mind just sort of processing Julia out. I think she was valuable in the first season as a way for.
Well, yeah. So you think they're mainly keeping her around for
Is eye candy? I don't know.
I think there was an eye candy quality to it, but it was the idea was that Sam was having to deal with the eye candy quality of his therapist, right? And we don't have that dynamic anymore, so there's not much more interest. I mean, I don't care if Julia has her kid or anything, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. But okay. Anyway, moving on.
Anyway, so Elsa then starts building a website for her haircut business, which is starting to gain some traction.
Right.
Yeah, and Doug, bonds with Elsa over bad hair names. Yeah, and she also joins him in the shower.
Yeah. They have a little foxy time.
Yeah, and so that leaves me wondering what happens in 209.
Yes.
Yeah, so in 209, it's all about rituals.
It's Ritual-licious.
Yeah, that's the name.
Right.
According to Sam, rituals are important. They make everything okay. And to some extent, I probably have kind of a disorganized ritual that I stay by in a way. Like the first thing I do when I get up is check my email or...
They're normalizing. Rituals are normalizing.
I'm trying to figure out how to pee.
Okay.
I have this because I can't use the second floor bathroom a lot because it's busy. So I have to, it's how can I get downstairs with pants off?
That's right, without being spotted.
And without being seen.
Yes.
That's one of mine. And then it's email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the dark side of Ritual-liciousness is Dark Knight. When he says, people will go along with anything as long as they think it's part of the plan. That's the ritual.
Yes.
That's the Joker's principle is the ritual-licious thing.
Of course.
Like, if there's a ritual, people understand the structure. They feel that it, even if they don't like it or they disagree with it, it reduces the anxiety of what's going to happen. Right? Or what are you going to do? Right. Anyway.
Right. So Sam, meanwhile, adopts the penguin that hatched that he watched on the camera.
And it's at the penguin habitat.
Yeah, exactly. And he learns that he has to keep Bailey's kiss a secret. And so Paige is upset about the secret that Sam's keeping. Like, you kissed someone and you won't tell me who it is?
Right. And he's like, well, I promised her I wouldn't. The way you do. He's trying to be casual and sophisticated. This is what she wanted, right? Paige gets a little comeuppance here, I think.
Yeah, in a way.
I think that Sam isn't picking up the subtlety of what's going on, and that's unfortunate for Sam, and he should. But Paige kind of deserves this moment. Right? Because if she wanted a relationship with Sam, she should have said so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Zahid picks up on the secret of, like, Sam kissed someone, but he doesn't know who.
And
he thinks it's Paige, yes.
It's Paige, yeah.
And so...
Say no more. It's like that Python routine.
Nudge, nudge.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, exactly.
Elsa, meanwhile, throws a birthday party for Casey.
Oh, I love this.
Yes.
This is my favorite part of this season.
Yes, and Sam has these rituals for Casey's birthday, which, Casey doesn't seem to want this year.
Right. So there's rituals for Casey's birthday that Sam is a big part of.
Yeah.
And the other element is that there is nothing in this life more fun for you when you are a teenage girl, like 18-year-old, 17-year-old. I mean, sweet 16. She's 16.
Yep.
She's only 16? That's crazy.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And Sam wakes her up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're back to the races.
When you're 16, there's nothing you want more than your mom to throw a big party for you and invite all your friends.
Now, this is interesting because I did want that and I did get it. It was one of the few times. It was a surprise party, too.
Okay.
Sweet 16?
Yeah.
You had one?
And I had a beautiful cake. And I was shocked that she did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
She was so socially inept.
we had parentally supervised birthdays still at that age, but they gave us a lot of deference in what we wanted to do, who we wanted to invite, and that kind of thing.
No, she divided my debate team.
Oh.
Okay. Well, did you like it? Did you like it?
Yeah, I was kind of shocked some of the people showed up I wasn't really that friendly with, and I felt kind of special.
Well, you should talk to Casey and tell her to chill out.
Well, the thing is because it was this similar, like, why are these people here?
Right.
Yeah.
But I thought those people, especially the way they had them blocked and the way they shot it, they definitely look like, we're here to fuck shit up.
Right.
Yes.
No, what I
Which
had,
would really have pissed me off.
I had long sleepover movie watch nights. You'll be shocked to hear.
Wow.
I think for my 16th must have been my 17th. We did 14 straight hours of horror movies.
Oh my God.
Just
Nice.
14 hours.
That sounds so much like you. And eat that weird thing that you make.
Oh no, that's
still
an
make it.
adult ritual. I didn't do that. That wasn't a special birthday thing back then.
Oh, I thought it was.
It is now as an adult.
Jason makes this really funny, weird, like on the back of a Campbell's soup.
Campbell soup can
Okay.
recipe.
Okay.
meat potato thing.
I think I might have had it on my
birthday.
birthday a few times.
Right.
You told me it was a birthday thing.
It is.
Or
as
was
an
your
adult,
favorite food.
It was my favorite food from childhood. Yeah.
Yes, and I tried to make it once, a little more gourmet, and that did not.
no.
I ruined it.
Totally spoiled. It was like the Star Wars prequels.
Boy.
Ruined my childhood.
Yes, well, the party is almost ruined, because she drives home with her dad and doesn't like the idea of the party at first, but
Right.
she sort of eases into it. But then Izzy and her friends show up.
The dark
Uh-oh. I mean,
Now, here's what I don't get. Didn't Elsa know that Izzy's the one who wrote on on Casey's shoes? Didn't she know that?
I'm not entirely sure.
She must not have. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no way she
Yeah.
knew that. Okay.
Don't you want to see your little friend?
Yeah, your little friend who's slut-shaming you to defend her rapist boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Great
Yes.
people. Yeah.
But then, the reason Sam is so serious about Casey's birthday rituals is because the last time they went off of them, his first tortoise died.
So he's like associating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he had a couple other tortoises. So he had like two other scientists, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
but,
Einstein and Aristotle or something.
Yeah, but, Casey is like totally sick of Sam at this point. She chews him out. No more ickle bickle.
No more ickle bickle. She flips out in front of everybody. So this is the mirror of the juicing.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess so.
It's a big public fight between the two of them in an emotional breakdown moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then so now Izzy comes up to Casey's room and they apologize and they almost kiss.
Yeah.
Until Elsa butts in.
Yeah, they got plenty of time. They're only 16. Again, I like that she's not. This isn't Heather's.
Right.
Right. She admits that she missed.
I miss you, Casey.
Right, and that the reason that she got so angry and defending of Nate is not so much that she knew him longer and is loyal to this rape culture that he wants to create or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's that she knew that this incident would make it tough to be friends with Casey, and she didn't want to lose Casey. So she was angry at Casey for blowing up their friendship.
Oh,
right, and I like that. That's wrong in a lot of ways, but it's realistic. Right, especially for teenagers to think that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you have a conflict with somebody, but you're desperate to keep them as a friend.
Right. It shows a whole lot more self-awareness than I would typically expect, and I like that.
Yeah.
We also get that from Elsa, too, doesn't she? She talks to Sam and explains about the ritual was for you. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And just like the party was for me. She says just like, I'm the one who wanted the big party. You're the one who wants the ritual. I'm the one who wants the big party. We should be making Casey's birthday about Casey.
Yes, exactly.
And she says that out loud and in English, and it's just such a relief. You're like, yeah, thank you for having some insight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Casey ends up kissing Evan, and Izzy sees this and just walks away. Feels like a real OC moment going on.
Right. It's a little teen soap opera. It's okay. We're toward the end here. So,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, towards the end, because Doug is, he keeps seeing Nick.
Right.
He keeps seeing him as a mirage.
It's like one of those ghost movies. It's like Paranormal Activity. Like I keep expecting the bartender jump scare frame shot. Like we're sitting quietly in the room, we're looking at Doug, and then wah, and something just jumps out at the screen at you, and it's the bartender.
Yeah, and that's also happening more often in the second season of 13 Reasons Why.
Oh, is it more jump scary? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But more on that later.
Okay, sure.
Now we finally come to episode 210.
So in 209, does he confront the bartender in 209, or is that
No, that happens in that happens in 210.
All right,
Where he goes to the bar, he punches Nick, who says, "I deserve that."
Can I say just for a second here, I didn't really appreciate this in the way they blocked the previous scenes with Nick, but that is a small guy. Especially compared to Rappaport, who I gather is a little bit taller than average.
Okay.
And so you have Rappaport as like a giant beast of a man. And you have this little scrawny dude, and I started to think, would you really have this guy working the door? At a club where you're worried about physical confrontation? Maybe he should just be the bartender. Yeah.
Okay.
No, actually, if he's a martial artist and the scrawny little ones are really mean little motherfuckers.
But Rappaport's got the reach.
Yeah, that's true.
He did manage to land a blow. Yeah, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
I like another scene I like. It's like, no, you're right. I deserve it. You didn't break my jaw. We're fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so the haircut business, meanwhile, is going well for Elsa. And Elsa, upon suspecting things with Casey and Izzy, let me tell you about my first lesbo experience.
Oh, Jesus, no.
Oh, I was just like, as someone who has been lesbian and bi, and God,
Fucking cold spine.
that was bad. That was. It was like, no, Mom, no.
We're going to back out of this.
Yes.
Even, first of all, straight's bad enough. And then also you add in non-normative mom behavior,
No.
Yep.
You don't need to hear it.
Mom, your sexuality has hurt our family. We don't want to hear anything about it.
You've hurt our family plenty enough with men.
Yes.
I don't need to hear about the danger we're in with women.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yes. And this is a big episode for Sam because, he's graduating.
Yeah.
He talks to Julia, and, he even invites her to the graduation ceremony. And so he proclaims his independence at the dinner table, which means he wants no more help from his family or Zahid.
And he's naked under the robe.
Yeah.
Yes. I love it so much.
Yeah. And so, anyway.
But no, just before you get out of there, he's reaching across Casey to get the potatoes because he just said, I don't want any help. And then he was about to say, could you please pass the potatoes? And he's naked under his robe and rubbing on his sister to reach across the table. And she's like, whoa, no. That moment captured so much of this show. It's like, if you want to see anything else, just that one moment.
Yeah, I mean, Casey goes probably through just as many awkward moments, if not more, in comparison with the other regulars.
Right.
So people write mean things in Sam's yearbook, and it hurts.
Yes.
Yeah, he escapes to the aquarium where he watches the penguins, including the one he adopted.
And great, ending episode shot of the family sitting in the aquarium, gathered around the flickering light and watching the penguin and trying to figure out which one is his.
Would have been nice if the episode ended there.
You think so? Okay.
In a way, because he reads Paige's speech, because Paige has lost her voice from yelling at all the people who wrote mean things in Sam's yearbook. And so...
That to me is just like, why would people do that to Sam? What did he ever do to them?
I know. Well,
it seems a little unearned in the story because it doesn't feel like there's.
I could see one or two people doing it and thinking it's funny, but not a lot of people.
Well, they did it to me.
It seems realistic. It just doesn't seem
that happened to you?
Yeah. People wrote things like, "You're the biggest faggot I ever saw," FAGET.
Whoa.
And, I could go on.
Damn. So it is very realistic.
Yeah.
It's good to have that clarified.
The bullying felt
Yes.
realistic. It just didn't feel earned in the story. It didn't feel like he's had the problems with other students.
Yeah, we didn't see a lot of people
in
trying
the
to bully him.
story where that would happen, and so it feels a little.
Yeah, they just sort of stay away from him.
It feels a little left field, but realistic.
But it is
left field.
realistic.
It's a realistic left
It
field.
happened to Guillermo.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen that happen.
Yeah, sometimes, maybe they would take it without my permission. I don't know. But,
Yeah.
yeah, or they would pass it around just for shits and giggles.
I didn't go to those kind of high schools.
Yeah, well,
didn't happen.
we're talking about Santa Cruz County, which is populated with surfers and I would assume Trump supporters.
I didn't see much in high school, but elementary and junior and middle school definitely there was more of that.
It's a rich, affluent area where most of the students are from families that have realty businesses or some
tech.
something like that. Well, not so much tech as there's a social ladder involved,
Right.
I must say.
And there's a lot of agriculture there, too.
Yes. I mean, one of the most controversial issues at Aptos High was, during my tenure there, was somebody making a poster with the slogan, "There is no I in team." And it was just a close-up of the cheerleaders holding up one of their own, like a close-up of the hands holding up the foot. And this caused a huge outcry. Oh, they're just sticking up for the cheerleaders, like nobody else or something. And anyway, during high school, I would draw.
Was it a big high school?
I would say so. But anyway, during high school, I would draw these sarcastic cartoons. These sarcastic cartoons called Here to There, which was kind of like, at the time, I called it Boy Meets World meets The Far Side. Because I was always a big fan of The Far Side. And I notice your friend Estelle is as well.
And I have a bunch of them.
Yeah. And so most of them were just one-panel cartoons about student life, and I mostly did them as a labor of love because I had to keep my sanity somehow. I wasn't down with the whole school spirit thing, and so I was on my own path, and some people caught a whiff of the cartoons I drew, especially since some of them were published in the school newspaper. But anyway, I did them more as a labor of love, and, I got mostly positive reactions to them, and somebody even wrote in my yearbook, "Keep telling it like it is."
Aw. And you have been. You're a filmmaker, animator, editor, writer, director who does. I know, because I work with you.
Yeah.
Keep telling it like it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what happens to Sam at graduation is he reads Paige's speech for her, which, makes people laugh at him. That was kind of painful for me to watch because it didn't seem to me like he was trying to get laughs. It seemed to me like he was doing somebody a favor because, as he finds out
He was totally being heroic.
Yeah, as he finds out at the end of the episode, he tells Paige he's in love with her.
Yeah.
And
we
so that's why he did it.
A little bit ahead of time. I think I have the impression that they were laughing with him. That he was dropping joke lines that were intended. Maybe he wasn't intending to get.
It was his delivery. Well, he would do self-effacing jokes.
He'd do a self-effacing
between
jokes.
lines.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit before the show about comparing it to Nanette and the idea of self-effacing humor.
Yeah.
Right.
And are we seeing something where, I don't think the audience felt badly toward him or mocking him. I think that they just thought it was funny when he would switch from reading in Paige's voice to reading in his own.
Yes, well, when they cheer, it just makes me wonder, are they cheering for him or for Paige?
I think they're cheering for the performance and for him and Paige together. The fact that these two, and that they thought it was, these are kids. They thought it was funny and awesome. Right? It's like when he says, when she said, part of the speech is something, "My best friend's into penguins." He's like, "I think that's me."
See, that's delightful.
It's
Yeah,
oh,
that's
that's
totally
me.
delightful.
I think they're just delighted by it, and I think he's actually succeeding here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I read it too. But when, G-Man, when you were saying earlier before we started casting about your read of it, and then I said, there's some stuff I've seen where I have been bullied or have been marginalized, and I will often interpret things a little more cringy than the public. Like, I've had people go, "Oh, you're overreacting. There's nothing like that in this movie."
Right. I don't want to be dismissive.
And then I'd be like, "But So I think that it could be read both ways, honestly, or a mixture.
Yeah.
And I think it required. I mean, we're rooting for him.
Yeah.
But not remembering that those of us that are
right.
Like myself or whatever, I'm like, yeah, he's going to be heroic. He's doing this thing for Paige. She gets to have her words said. This is so magical.
Yeah.
But if I had Asperger's, I think I might have had Guillermo's response.
Because
the confusion about the reaction.
Yeah, because his naivete is totally sticking out.
Yes. But it also makes him a really good performer.
Well, the thing is about laughter, and we look at the prep school kids and everything else, what is hurtful about laughter is when it's exclusionary. Right? And I could see sitting there saying, are they excluding Sam from the joke? Are they laughing at him for his behavior? Or is Sam setting up a joke that he's invited them into and they're laughing together?
Yeah. And also, a lot of times people laugh when they're nervous, when they don't know how to paige
Yeah.
Right. Especially because Paige was late and she can't come up, and there's this hanging moment where
what's going on? There's a lot of tension in the air.
The valedictorian can't speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because she shouted her voice into oblivion.
Something I would have done.
That Paige moment was like, that is
Yeah, it's totally
you people are scum.
Yes.
Which is interesting because what's happening here is the spectrum of autism is mostly about a cognitive difference in how you read social things.
Yes. And
so not knowing what the laughter means, and definitely had the experience of being bullied with laughter, it's always going to be extra confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could be wrong too. They could have added a scene here where he thinks he had this triumphant performance and then he's getting mocked.
Right.
That would be realistic. And it would be like, oh, they weren't laughing with him, they were laughing at him.
And we would love him even more and want to protect him and
probably
and cheer him on. But they did give him the big applause.
You know what? It reminds me of a little bit is David Lynch's Elephant Man.
Oh.
Right, with that performance where in half the movie you don't know John Merrick if he's using his condition to get along the way you'd have to, or if he's being abused, right? And it's a difficult line for him because he can never escape it.
Right.
And so when you finally get to that breakdown point where he's being pursued and I am not an animal and everything like that, I could see that energy being here.
Right.
But there's also great moments where it's like, I'm a complete person. I'm able I'm able to relate to my own condition in ways that are heartfelt. I'm not avoiding it. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. So,
but I hear you about feeling like that laughter might have been assaultive.
Well, especially if it's like a trigger, there's some things that are triggers for me in some films.
Yeah.
And they aren't for others.
You know, when I was in high school,
and I think that just needs to be believed.
When I was in high school, I got laughed at so much that I didn't even talk to any of my peers. I didn't talk to them about Asperger's because I knew that they would make fun of it, the name.
Like Cartman.
Yeah.
Well, with Cartman, it's more of a, he tries putting burgers in his ass.
Right.
Yes. You take it a little too far.
It's not that it doesn't seem like he's making fun of it. It just seems like he's
completely misunderstands it.
Yes, exactly. And that shows stupidity on his part.
I wonder.
That's where the joke comes from.
Now, there's been so much education and more integrating autistic people into society. If some of those people that you went to high school with are regretting their experience, how they acted.
Well, I know at least a few of them are.
Yeah,
that's good.
Did they reach out to you?
There have been some who have.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think so, and I think there's also. We'll get into the so-called flood of representation.
Right. Yeah, we're going there next.
Let's go. Yeah. So wrap up the plot here. Yeah.
Anyway, towards the end of 210, Elsa realizes that she loves lists like Sam does, and so she shows him the list that she made of hopes for him, most of which are checked off. And one of them is, I wish I could go back to school. Side note, funny moment at Sam's graduation. The part that made me laugh was when Zahid is sitting next to a pregnant Julia, and he's like, I babysit.
Why is she there? That's me again.
He invited her.
She should not have come. That's ridiculous.
I think we're ready to move Julie out of the show.
Oh, God. But anyways, also when he didn't have any underwear on.
Yeah.
And he had his robe.
Yeah,
I was
we were
laughing
talking
at
about that.
because I'm so Miss Sans Ponce.
Yeah. Anyway, Elsa finds the orange flyer for the Low Dive, which is the bar that Nick works at.
Right.
So it's like she knows that Doug had an interaction with Nick.
Right.
And she tells Doug, you are going to have to get over this. I've done as much apologizing as I can. I've done as much as I can to make up for this.
She doesn't tell, she asks. Well, she asks and tells. She's like, can you do this? Because you have to.
Yes. And so now she and Doug are kind of at a crossroads, and Doug is, is like seeing, Megan about this problem. He's talking to her about it.
Yeah, let's go see Pam Grier. That'll help. Keep it all together. I find it interesting that she's like, you have to.
She was really wrong to say that.
Yeah.
Especially because she acted out because she wasn't forgiving him for something he had done a decade earlier already. How much apologizing has he done for that?
Yes.
And that was...
You don't get to tell someone they have to get over something. It's just it's a non-starter in any relationship.
I think you do get to say, I'm done apologizing.
You can do that.
Yeah.
But
I'm done trying to earn it back.
But you can't tell someone they just have to get over it.
You can't tell people what their emotions have to be.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't work in any relationship.
No.
As much as I've tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've learned the hard way.
You can negotiate for interactions. You can say, I understand you're still hurt, but there's only so much I can do, and I don't...
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's for reasons like this that I will never ask a woman to not open up about something that has traumatized her.
Sure.
I will never tell her I will always listen.
You might not always be able to handle it or be the best person to hear it, but there's no reason to hide it, right?
Yeah. Cameron's been a really good listener for me. That's why we're besties.
Oh, and I'm not being personal.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, even if one is not, you don't shut down communication just simply based on the idea that you can't save everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I didn't mean to be personal about Cameron.
We're going to finish?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
let's wrap
Paige, she opens up to Sam and asks him about the smudge on the bench, and she finds out about him and Bailey Bennett, and she says that the vandalism is what bothers her, not the kissing. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And she even tells Sam, "You're a champion of being there for me."
Aww.
Which is
true.
It's true.
Yeah, that's something I'd like to be as well, a champion of being there.
I like Paige and Sam. They're a solid couple. They seem like they understand each other to some degree. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they grew from their interactions.
She came in as a girl and she left as a woman.
Yeah.
They didn't start off very, very clean, like those stupid cards.
They're doing pretty good for 15-year-olds or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
absolutely.
Or no, he's older.
Absolutely.
He's the older child,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So he's 18.
Right.
Yeah.
He's going to college. Okay, cool.
But speaking of Casey, she makes up with Izzy and they hook up after the graduation, and that's the last we see of them.
All right, well.
Holding hands.
And it's interesting because Casey keeps talking about how much she doesn't like Clayton. And she's pushing herself into this thing.
Yeah.
Just because you don't like something doesn't mean you don't see the value of it or you don't like parts of it. She wants to like it better. I'd be circumspect with Izzy.
Although you and I were talking last night, and I had 2 different high schools and went to in some affluent areas and not, even though I was the poor kid in private schools and stuff. And we both agree, prep school, we would never send our kids there.
Prep school
is for assholes.
Well, sometimes it doesn't hurt, but it never helps.
No.
Yeah, sometimes Aptos felt like a prep school.
Yeah. Lowell felt like a prep school in a lot of ways, but it's a public prep school. And we're not. They're not culturally indoctrinating you to the same degree.
Yeah, it's like I kept thinking to myself, what's the point of striving to get these good grades if I if I have to hang out with people who bother the hell out of me.
Exactly.
That sounds
That's
like
why
a byline for an entirely good film about teenagehood.
Yes, that's why I like going to public school. So, okay, that takes us out of the show. We want to talk a little bit.
Yeah.
We've been running a little long here. Let's talk
That's
about
okay.
our.
We're going to talk about media representation.
Yeah.
I have one. I'll start with mine. And I've seen 2 versions of this, and just learned that there's a third one. It's British.
Oh.
But this was and we're going to Australia in a few weeks. This was in the Sydney Morning Herald a couple years ago.
Oh.
There have been many Asperger detectives, but the originals are still the greatest.
Oh.
On the male side, that's Sherlock Holmes. On the female side, that's Saga Noreen. She has a penetrating intelligence, but no social skills. She doesn't care what others think of her, and she doesn't understand when people are upset or offended by her honesty. All right, that last one is me. She just wants to get to the truth, which makes a brilliant cop and a terrible partner. Audience love her because they wish they could be like her.
This, I think this is known on TV tropes as Bunny Ears Lawyer.
What?
Bunny Ears Lawyer. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, somebody recently pointed this out to me. This is a trope. I think Sherlock Holmes is listed there. But it's someone who's really good at what they do, but isn't so skilled in the social areas.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing is, so I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. She's talking about, the actress is talking here. The thing is that you become lonely.
Yeah.
Because this is what puts us together, that we confirm to the other person that we are communicating. I see you, you see me, I react on what you say. When you're not with people in that way, you become lonely. That is so true. I mean, I talk about big chunks of my life because I wasn't brought up with social skills. And I also love to be direct.
Right.
And Guillermo and I meet on this. It's so refreshing.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the direct. I love it. And you loved it too when,
I love it too.
when we started dating me. You were like, oh my God, I don't have to read Sion's mind.
Read your mind.
Yeah.
Just tell me what you think. It's fucking great.
It can be annoying and painful sometimes.
Well, I tend to be more dry and circumspect.
Yeah.
Person, yes. But this is the bridge, right?
This is the bridge.
Yeah. Is this the American version or the Norwegian?
This is this is not Norwegian. It's Swedish and Danish.
Danish. Okay.
And then there was the Mexican American one.
Right.
And then now there is I believe it's Irish and
English,
something like that.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen that one.
These are cross borders.
But the lead character is a female, which is refreshing, and she has Asperger's, and she's a cop.
Right.
And the stories all start with her discovering a corpse on these bridges that are crossing different worlds.
Yeah.
I see.
And trying to figure out where, and it puts her, very tough situation.
Yeah.
I love her. I thought she did a great job. I thought she was really high functioning. The only thing the character came across to me was as kind of cold.
Right.
Like Guillermo doesn't come across cold. But that brings us to something that Guillermo has pointed out. Just because you have Asperger's or some form of autism doesn't mean you're the same as everyone else with it. There's incredible individuality.
Yeah.
Just like any other human.
Like if you don't have it, you're not the same as everybody does.
Exactly.
Sometimes there's times when I feel like being quote unquote cold.
Yeah.
But mostly I don't.
Yeah. I can be pretty cold.
Don't I know?
See, that's why I love you. So you had a bunch of interesting
examples that I've seen that,
and tell us what your opinion is of them. How things should work.
Some things. Some of what I've seen in film and TV ever since my parents made me aware of my condition. Ever since then, I started noticing certain things, like, for instance, like I would see maybe bits of myself in certain characters or things they do. Like Michael Scott in The Office, there's an episode where there's a mandatory diversity day because Michael told an offensive joke, and what he actually did was repeat a Chris Rock comedy routine verbatim, heavily involving the N-word, and he repeats it in Chris Rock's voice. He
pretty offensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to him, he's like telling everybody, "This is a great joke."
Yeah.
But he doesn't realize how offensive it is to
He doesn't understand
else.
the context of Chris Rock telling that joke versus him telling that joke.
Yes, exactly.
Right, and he doesn't get that it's a racial component to this that makes it funny for Chris Rock, but it's not your territory to tell this joke because you have to represent genuinely in order for the joke to work, and you don't represent genuinely.
And like repeating somebody's voice verbatim is something that
So let me ask about that. Yeah, because you brought this one up before, and I'm trying to understand the perspectives a little bit more. This case, you have something where the social context of what you're saying is the key element that makes it wrong for you to say it as a white middle class manager of a business, and okay to say it as a black comedian.
Yes.
Right. And I guess the question is, there's this literal element of saying humor is humor. It shouldn't matter. It should be a robot saying the joke or whatever. The structure of the joke is what's funny or not funny. And then there's the training sensitivity day thing that says the exact same words can be recontextualized based on who the speaker is.
Yes, and sometimes I don't see some recontextualizations.
Yeah, it's hard for all of us. It's not something that we. Absolutely. And this is the whole big white people saying, why don't we get to use the N-word?
It's not. No.
First of all, we done used up our bucket full of opportines there over the last several centuries.
I have nothing to do with it.
We've used it up. But on the other hand, then you say, well, why can Tarantino do it? Well, because he's creating some social commentary that goes beyond just reveling in the word. But sometimes he just revels in the word.
Yeah, I mean, even George Carlin addressed it. It's the context behind the words that makes them good or bad.
With Tarantino, he's not racist. He's working closely with the same black actors over and over again. They're working out this language together.
He's empowering black characters.
Yes. He is not. He's not. Yeah. So that there's no hidden agenda behind it. Yeah. But the average white person using it, you don't know. If you were, this same thing with LGBT language. If someone says, "Oh, you're a dyke," and they're just a straight man, you're like, is there going to be more violence that's going to come next? Is this an indication that I'm going to get hit?
Right.
Is this person marginalizing me and thinking me as less subhuman?
Right.
Or are they patronizing?
Yeah, or are they patronizing or thinking, or condescending. But if it's another lesbian saying it or dyke, it's fine. It's lovely.
And then you have situations where it's like, what about the dyke march or dykes on bikes? Well, how should those of us who are cis white het men
you can say the dykes on
the dyke march?
Okay, you can say the dyke march.
Right, sure.
Yeah, because that is its name. But you don't go calling someone a dyke personally.
Right. And then on the race thing, I'll get back to your whatnots, but I think that the top commentary that I've ever had on this is Richard Pryor's. Because he's the one who went through the whole arc.
Yes.
Right. And he came to this place.
He went to Africa.
He went to Africa, and he said there's guys, there's no N-words here. Right? Yeah. You don't see any because this is the dominant race.
Everybody
here is
around
black. Everyone's around is black. Whites are minority here, especially post-colonial period. And so, anyway, but the all of that nuance feels to me like nothing more than that Michael Scott moment exemplifies for me what it is to not to be a little colorblind on those things, right? Or in the sense of not perceiving. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
So. Anyway, what I've, in general, what I've seen in, actual media portrayals of the spectrum, what I think is right is, acknowledgement that it exists and acknowledgement that, there are parents who struggle with and sometimes hate the fact that their kid is like this.
Yeah.
And also acknowledgement that there are those diagnosed who can struggle more than others, but they also, have their good qualities.
Mm-hmm. Right.
For instance, there's this great movie called Jane Wants a Boyfriend, starring Eliza Dushku as Jane's sister.
Okay.
Now, Jane is a high-functioning adult on the spectrum, and she's good at like sewing and working on costumes, because she does that like for theatrical productions, and but she has to be looked after by her sister Bianca, and kind of protests against it when Bianca interferes with her love life, and that's a moment of self-advocacy that I think isn't seen enough. Mm-hmm. I think, and for somebody to be this self-aware and to have this kind of self-advocacy for themselves, I think it's I think it's a step in the right direction. Mm-hmm. But I've also I don't know if any of you have seen Community.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of it.
With
one of
Joel.
our fellow podcaster, Susan Monk, that was like her favorite thing forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Joel, actually, Danny Pudi has a character there called Abed. I haven't seen it in a while, but Joel McHale's character, anyway, in the first episode, he tells Abed, Abed like gives him some kind of remark, and he replies with, "Well, you have Asperger's syndrome." And so, over the course of the series, Abed comes into his own character. He can hold his own. He saves the day on several occasions. And even when the lines between fantasy and reality become blurred, it's still pretty entertaining to see him hold the dominant position. Like, is this my world or not? Mm-hmm. We're not sure. And also, he has a best friend, Troy. That's also a plus, I think. Mm-hmm. He's not completely isolated.
Right. So I'm noticing some of the things you're bringing up here is empowerment, not lack of isolation, function, and it almost makes me wonder what you think about. To what degree is this a disability or a different ability?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if this answers the question, but what I think could be improved about media portrayals is that we can make it clear that they're not all the same, as we mentioned earlier. Right. We could show like different types, different levels of functionality. Because on South Park, we have Timmy and then we have Jimmy, and they are at different. They're at different levels, but they're still, just two of the kids, and that none of their peers make a big deal about it. Mm-hmm. What I'd also like to see is to show what goes through a character's head on a daily basis. The internal roadblocks they face.
Yeah, I want to see more of the internalization too, not just the surface.
Yeah,
that interests me in anything.
Yeah.
But
For instance, in Atypical, I would like to see more solo scenes with Sam, with like very limited dialogue of just showing his process.
Yeah.
Let's say something comes up. Let's say he's out of something. How does he solve that problem? Does he look for it, or does he just stay in for the rest of the day? Mm-hmm. Does he actually go out and try getting it? Just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, that's the way I sometimes see myself, because I live alone, and, I really want people to know what that's like.
I think it would be fascinating. Mm-hmm. All really good.
And how
art is showing you something that's very internal that you connect to.
Yeah, because it's different. I feel like everybody around me is different because they live with someone, and
Yeah, I've lived alone a lot. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it is different to live alone, especially since we're both extroverts.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what I'd also like to see is a character that doesn't have to be looked after by a family member.
That's what I was kind of asking.
Somebody who is trusted, somebody who is supported by.
Sounds like you need to do a biographical film.
Or check out The Bridge. She's not supported by family.
I've been meaning to check that out.
She's barely supported by coworkers.
Yeah.
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 And that's the other kind of question I had, like referencing The Bridge, is to what degree are we honestly dealing with the effects of this, and to what degree are we using this as, because we all have this sort of spectrum personality in our brain psychologies, and then we have a filter in front of it.
Yeah.
Right. And so we get this like, well, here's the raw truth. Here's what I'd say, or whatever. And then you have parts of your brain that say, pick your battles. Who are you talking to? What's the context? What's going to happen? And there's some escapism in watching a show where someone's just not doing that.
Yeah.
They're just.
It's refreshing for me.
It's refreshing. They're just saying what
That's
comes
why
to
this
their mind.
article said that people wanted to be
People
like
want to be like that because we have this other part of our psychology that's a lot of work to maintain. It's effort. It's not automatic.
Especially for me, it's really hard to work.
It's a little more natural for me, but it's still effort.
You're really good at it.
Well, I'm also an introvert, so it's an extrovert
Your
skill.
social skills are off the charts.
Oh, baby.
Okay.
Now, listen to you. You're very nice.
Get a room.
But I happen to be an introvert. So exercising social skills is tiring, but I have them. Right. And so it is very relieving to see someone who just blurts, like Fight Clubs it, just whatever.
Okay.
That's why you get a kick out of some of my nonsense.
You and David Fincher, yeah. Two of my favorite.
Anyway. I think, I think in the movie Adam, with Hugh Dancy and Rose Byrne, I think it's sort of treated more as a tragedy because there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of realism to it, especially since most of the actors who portray people on the spectrum are not on the spectrum themselves.
Right.
And so I'm hoping to see some kind of change in that.
That would be interesting because I would think that a lot of people on spectrum. I mean, you're a filmmaker. I'd think that there'd be a lot of ability to express this, especially noticing the confusions and contradictions of having to deal with social pressure.
You just need a really, really, really smart female director.
There you go.
You write it, I'll direct it.
Okay.
And you can star.
There you go.
That sounds interesting.
Doesn't it?
I mean, I keep thinking, like, I keep wondering, like, I've auditioned for films, in Scary Cow, and, I haven't been in a whole lot of them, in terms of being a cast member. Like, I see a character in a script that I might relate to, and I might give it some serious effort, and then, like, not get the part. And, well, this is common for me, I guess. Sometimes I wonder if I get turned down because of my condition. And it's easy for me to assume that because I've felt it in the past. Someone rejects me because of something I can't control.
It's tough with acting.
Yeah.
Because the studio, the producer, the director needs so much precision.
Yeah.
And great actors have social superpower.
Well, they're really submissive.
They're very submissive, but they're also very perceptive.
Yeah.
And
They'll just listen to what someone says, and they'll just
They'll accept they'll accept all kinds of logic to get to what's needed.
They'll take criticism.
They're very perspective, and they take criticism.
That's why I stopped.
Yeah, no, I couldn't be an actor. I could never be an actor in a million years. I could be a talk show host, maybe. That's what I'm doing now. Right?
Well, I think I've had enough experience to know that I'm good at acting in a way. I mean, even though it's not I don't feel like it's my biggest priority, but I just like to
You looked great in Poster Boy. I was one that was like, just get in front of the camera.
Yeah, well,
you were hysterical.
There's some talents I'm kind of embarrassed about, and I like to keep hidden.
That was your Alfred Hitchcock moment. So, okay, well, we've been rolling along. Do we have any other?
Yeah.
Let's.
Well, I think in conclusion, I would just say, to really learn about the autism spectrum, you don't have to just like read books and watch movies. You could really get to know somebody with it, and don't treat a person like a project or a piece of work to be corrected.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Just listen to them.
That's crucial.
Yeah. Listen to them because you're generally interested in what they go through, and, maybe even try dating one or a few, if they seem interested in you, because you may become more interested in them if you're not already.
He's available, ladies.
Yeah, he is, and I highly recommend him.
There you go.
Yeah, and, also I would say, try not to take anything they say too personally, because they often don't mean to hurt anyone.
Right.
And if they do, it means that there's something in their life that's not being addressed and or taken care of.
Right.
So it's like that saying, everyone is fighting a battle that you know nothing about.
Right. Right.
And so, and I think, a relationship with somebody can seem one-sided to you at first. Like, you may feel like you're doing all the work. But I think they can become two-sided as time goes on, And if anybody out there on the spectrum is listening, you don't have to rely entirely on the media to tell your story for you. In my opinion,
that's a good one too.
I mean, there's other ways of doing it, and
the more you do it, the better the media will get at it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the more material there is, we go looking for it. When we produce things.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, I think that takes us to the end. Thank you so much, Guillermo.
This was really rich.
This was really rich, really great to go through this with you. Absolutely. And we'll be doing some more Netflix stuff later on.
Awesome.
And I would like you to invite you to lead some podcasts on other topics too.
Yeah, we don't have to stick to the spectrum.
We haven't done animation.
Right.
It's a whole area that...
I want to throw this out. Miss Hokusai. I was watching Miss Hokusai last night. If you like Spirited Away and those kinds of things, it's not supernatural. It's more like a Crouching Tiger environment. Really nicely done. So, okay. Anyway, until next month, everyone, I came into NatterCast as a girl, and I'm leaving as a woman. Good night, everybody.
Good night.